right, second teaching out of Daniel that we were going to do, and this one called the statue. I'm sure that you know all about the last one, Daniel's 70th week, and because you took paper and pencil and made notes and took down scriptures, right? You wrote down all the numbers, so now you know. And the 70th week, Daniel's 70th week, we know are the last 7 years, and that we're going to be studying in the book of Revelation. But right now, another prophecy from Daniel that will help us in our upcoming study of the book of Revelation, and it's an interpretation of one of the dreams of Nebuchadnezzar. King Nebuchadnezzar, it seems, has had a very troubling dream again. He has called in all of his magicians, enchanters, sorcerers, and astrologers to no avail. He was so disturbed at them telling him that the dream was impossible to interpret, that he was going to have them all cut to pieces. He was going to kill them all. The king's commander of the guard explained the problem to Daniel. And Daniel, having received knowledge of the dream from God already, went to the king to save the others, even though by our standards they were not of God, and to glorify God by giving the interpretation. Let's now read the in-depth scriptures of this prophetic revelation given to Daniel. Turn to Daniel chapter 2, verse 24. If you want to read along with me, I'm going to read this whole thing. Daniel chapter 2:24 says, Then Daniel went to Arioch, whom the king had appointed to execute the wise men of Babylon. He's going to have them all killed. And this Arioch was supposed to do it. And said to him, Do not execute the wise men of Babylon. Take me to the king, and I will interpret his dream for him. So he's trying to save these men. Verse 25, Arioch took Daniel to the king at once and said, I have found a man among the exiles from Judah who can tell the king what his dream means. And here's verse 26. The king asked Daniel, also called Belshazzar, Are you able to tell me what I saw in my dream and interpret it? Verse 27, Daniel replied, No wise man, enchanter, magician, diviner can explain to the king the mystery he has asked about. So I can see the king, his face just drops. Well, here's another one. But Daniel goes on. But there is a God in heaven who reveals mysteries. He has shown King Nebuchadnezzar what will happen in days to come. Your dream and the visions that pass through your mind as you lay on your bed are these. Verse 29. As you were laying there, O king, your mind turned to things to come, and the revealer of mysteries showed you what is going to happen. Verse 30. As for me, this mystery has been revealed to me, not because I have greater wisdom than other living men, but so that you, O king, may know the interpretation and that you may understand what went through your mind. Verse 31. You looked, O king, and there before you stood a large statue, an enormous, dazzling statue, awesome in appearance. 32. The head of the statue was made of pure gold. So here we have the head made of gold. Its chest and arms were silver. Its belly and thighs of bronze. So we have the head, gold, the chest and arms are silver, and the belly and thighs are bronze. Verse 33, its legs of iron, its feet partly iron and partly baked clay. That sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? But this is evidently the king is sitting there and listening to this because this is exactly what the dream was all about. And here is this exile from Judah is telling him what it is. While you were watching, a rock was cut out but not by human hands. It struck the statue on its feet of iron and clay and smashed them. Now we're going to see that that rock is Jesus, that God cut out and threw at these feet of iron and clay, and the whole statue came down, all of them. Verse 35, then the iron, the clay, the bronze, the silver, and the gold were broken to pieces at the same time and became like chaff on the threshing floor in the summer. The wind swept them away without leaving a trace, but the rock that struck the statue became a huge mountain and filled the whole earth. Verse 36, this was the dream, and now we will interpret it to the king. Verse 37, you, O king, are the King of kings. The God of heaven has given you dominion and power and might and glory. In your hands he has placed mankind and the beasts of the field and the birds of the air. Wherever they live, he has made you ruler over them all. You are the head of gold. So he really pumps him up and shows him that he is, and Nebuchadnezzar was. He was a ruler. He was the emperor of the world at this time. And his head, and the head of this statue was the head of gold, and that represented him, Babylon. 39, verse 39. After you, another kingdom will rise, inferior to yours. Next, a third kingdom, one of bronze, will rule over the whole earth. These are all empires, see, where their emperor is a ruler over the world. Finally, there will be a fourth kingdom, strong as iron, for the iron breaks and smashes everything. And as iron breaks things to pieces, so it will crush and break all of the others. Now this iron are the legs, and that would be Rome. 41. See now, and this is happening way after Daniel and Nebuchadnezzar and all of that. 41. Just as you saw that the feet and toes were partly baked clay and partly of iron, so this will be a divided kingdom. Yet it will have some of the strength of iron in it, even as you saw iron mixed with clay. So these toes are a divided kingdom. They're the revised Roman Empire. And we kind of look at those, just giving a little foreshadowing here again, that these 10 toes are the 10 nations that break off of Rome and that are all the way around the Mediterranean Sea. 42. As the toes were partly iron and partly clay, so this kingdom will be partly strong and partly brittle. And just as you saw the iron mixed with baked clay, so the people will be a mixture and will not remain united any more than iron mixes with clay. So, in these 10 nations, there's some problems. And we're going to see that 3 of them are represented as clay. And those 3 are like democracies. In the time of those kings, the God of heaven will set up a kingdom that will never be destroyed, nor will it be left to other people. It will crush all those kingdoms and put them to an end, but it will itself endure forever. That's the rock. This is the meaning of the vision of the rock, cut out of a mountain, but not by human hands. A rock that broke the iron, the bronze, the clay, the silver, and the gold to pieces. The great God has shown the king what will take place in the future. The dream is true, and the interpretation is trustworthy. And that was what Daniel told King Nebuchadnezzar about his dream. Now the feet and the toes are to be the last form of the Roman Empire in the days of the second advent of the Messiah. The feet represent the same as the 2 legs See, there's 5 toes on each feet. The feet represent the same as 2 legs, the eastern and western divisions of the Roman Empire. The 4th kingdom of Daniel and the 6th kingdom of Revelation 17. So if you're reading Daniel, this same thing here will be the 4th kingdom of Daniel, and then the 6th kingdom when we're into Revelation chapter 17. So if you make note there. The toes represent the final division of the Roman Empire into 10 kingdoms, ruled by 10 kings from separate capitals. The last form of this empire was to be partly strong and partly broken or weak. The weakness is symbolized by the clay, which is easily broken, and the strength by iron, which breaks all other materials. Mud, not being very strong, represents the forms of government by popular majority, which are weak in many respects. It's the rights of the people, right? Democracies and such. Iron symbolizes the strength of an absolute monarchy, where there's an emperor in charge. These conditions of strength and weakness will not last, even as mud or clay cannot mix with iron. The kings of the 10 toes will try to be popular with their subjects and rule more or less by their wishes. The result will be that the clay will be broken up. The iron, becoming predominant, produces absolute monarchs. Having power to act as individuals, they will give their power to the beast, that's the Antichrist, after 3 of them are defeated. The 10 kingdoms give their power to the beast, which is the 8th kingdom. The stone is the symbol of the King of God of heaven, headed by Christ at his second advent, and that's the 9th kingdom. So after the 8th kingdom, which is the Antichrist, Satan, that we're going to study in the book of Revelation, when Jesus returns, then he sets up the 9th kingdom. These are the events that shall come to pass from Nebuchadnezzar's day to eternity, when the God of heaven reigns on earth. Let's close with Paul's letter to the church in Corinth. There's a scripture here in 1 Corinthians chapter 15, starting in verse 20. And Paul tells the church in Corinth, then the end will come when he hands over the kingdom to God the Father, after he has destroyed all dominion, authority, and power. For he must reign until he has put all his enemies under his feet, which will come at the end of the last millennium. Verse 26, the last enemy to be destroyed is death. For he has put everything under his feet. Now, when it says that everything has been put under him, it is clear that this does not include God himself, who put everything under Christ. Verse 28, when he has done this, then the Son himself will be made subject to him, who put everything under him, so that God may be all in all. Let's pray.